During her tenure as the CEO of the South African Endurance Series, Liyema Letlaka hopes to create a more accessible sport. Hello and welcome to today's episode of Lights Out. In today's episode, we'll be having a look at a chat I had recently in Sandton with the one and only Liyema Letlaka, the CEO of the South African Endurance Series, about her plans to create a more accessible sport, as well as the issues plaguing accessibility at the moment. Then we also have a look at the preview for the Hungarian Grand Prix at Hungaroring in Budapest. Stay tuned, we'll be right back after this.
Namibia is a land of movement, with waves that never stop reaching forward. Here, adventure is not something we search for. It is something we are born into. In every corner of this country, creativity rises, from artists, from athletes, from dreamers. And when the world comes to explore Namibia, they discover something extraordinary. Because when sport moves people, creativity moves ideas, and tourism moves the world toward us. Something powerful happens. A platform where movement meets imagination, where industries connect, where opportunity grows, where Namibia's next chapter begins. Welcome to the Creative Sport Tourism Expo. Exhibit, partner, experience. Creative Sport Tourism.
Joining me on Lights Out, as you can see, Sandton City in the background behind me, Liyema Letlaka, the CEO of the South African Endurance Series. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks, and you?
It's so great to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
So one thing I want to chat to you about, I think let's start with how you ended up here. I believe you are as much a child of Swartkops as you are of your parents.
Yes. So basically, my journey with motorsport started at a young age. I probably started karting at around 9, so I was 12 years old. Stopped because I decided to take netball more seriously at the time, and I had an accident, so netball made more sense. That's when my dad started racing as well. So yeah, I've always been around motorsport, around cars, around Swartkops. He then eventually decided that he would like to own a series because he saw the lack of minority people in motorsport. So he started his own series, and it became the first Black-owned, Black-run motorsport series. So I was in the background of that for a very long time. And then eventually when the time came, I was like, I'm ready to do this. I love it. I'm passionate about it. And yeah, this is how I ended up here.
So tell me a little bit about growing up. Obviously, there's a very concerted effort now in motorsport to include women, to include minorities, But what was that like growing up? I almost think you have a double whammy in a way. You're like a double minority, Black woman. What was that like? Did you ever feel othered in motorsport?
Definitely. I think growing up in motorsports, it was one, I'm female, then I happened to be Black. So it was a lot of things that were going against me at the time. I was one of very few Black people, very few girls on the track. I wouldn't say I felt it directly, but you could feel the passive aggressiveness at the time. You can tell. Yeah, you can tell.
It's not something you can take to HR. It's something
but you can tell. But I never let that get to me. I think that our country has a very diverse history. So with that being said, you learn how to maneuver in the spaces, take up the spaces, and, make it work.
Yeah. Was there ever a point where you thought, okay, I'm in now? Obviously you spent this time being othered. Was there a point where you went, okay, that's not as much of a factor anymore?
Yeah, I think the first time I ever felt I'm in now was last year when I was announced. And then it stopped being about being female and Black, but the ageism, I don't even know if that's a word, but now I'm a young CEO of Black women in motorsport, so that became a thing. So I just had to constantly prove myself. I think that this is the first year of my seat, And if I do say so myself, I think that we've made a lot of progress with my time in the chair. And yeah, it's something that I'm very proud of.
Mm-hmm. So tell me a little bit, obviously you've now kind of come into this leadership position, like you say, a young Black woman, and you've made a very conscious effort to open the door for other young people, Black people and women. What was your first step in changing sort of the status quo in motorsport?
Well, my first step was to basically just look at the foundation of SAS. And with that, I just realized that motorsports in South Africa is full of a very aging aging population. Is one, it's aging. Two, it's very white dominated. So I think that was like my main focus. I want the youth involved in any way that they're able to. And when I say the youth, I don't even specify the color of your skin. I just want young people in motorsport and women in motorsport in any ways that they can be. I think a lot of people think that being in motorsports, they need to be the driver or being in the forefront of it. And there's so many background roles that they can take over as well. And that's what I promote the most, STEM subjects, because I'd love to see more engineers, more dietitians, more doctors, more everything in motorsport, because those are the people that make the team run.
Mm-hmm. So tell me a little bit about what you've seen. You're still very new. It's only about a year now. Have you started seeing those winds of change in a way?
Yes. I'm seeing a lot of young people at the track, even if they're just spectators. I'm seeing a lot of young riders as well. There's a little boy, Aura Piri. He's a biker and he's great. He's going places, and it makes me happy to see young people actually so passionate about the sport, because I think SAS gives them a platform, showcases them to the world. Like just last month, he was competing overseas, and it's something that I always love to see.
Yeah. So then, obviously, the winds of change are kind of blowing. I think in motorsport in general, very very slowly.
Yeah.
What do you think it is that specifically women can bring to motorsport?
Order. I would like to say women are we have order. We know how to make things work. I think that when we also calm, so you can just tell when there's more females on the track, everything runs more smoothly. Also, my team is made out of only females right now, so already
Was that planned or?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't planned, but most of my big team members are all female, and
happy accident.
Yeah. So just everything, by having females on the track, you can just see how efficient and how everything just runs smoothly. The care, the nurture that we take into our competitors as well. So yeah, I think there's lots that women can bring, and we really are trying to bring more females in the racing positions. But it's hard, I don't think it's a common sport, let alone for females. So the more we speak about it, the awareness around it, it will let them know that this is a venture they can venture into. And we're waiting for them.
And there is, I hate to say it, but I think there is a bit of panic, especially in those super white codes of motorsport, about racial diversity and what, letting the Black people in will be like. What do you think that change will be?
I think the change is slowly there. I feel very accepted by motorsport, the governing MSA, which is our governing body. I feel very accepted. It's just everyone else that grew up in motorsport pre-apartheid, maybe they have those kind of views, but we are living in a new South Africa, a new world, so it's something that everyone is getting used to. I think that transformation doesn't happen overnight. That's another thing, so it happens. Some people feel this how they feel, some people are fine, and it's something that we continuously trying to break the barriers of.
So tell me a little bit, if I may, I'd like to ask you about Kyalami, and what that would mean for motorsport. Obviously, Lewis Hamilton, who kind of stands as a very key Black figure in motorsport, has been a very big supporter of it. But what do you think it would mean down in the street, to have Formula One at Kyalami?
I mean, it would mean a huge deal. Besides just motorsports, our economic state as a country as well, a political state as a country as well. I think that having something as huge and global like F1 in South Africa in general would just be amazing. More jobs, more everything, more tourism, attractions. It would mean a lot, and it would let the kids know as well, that are in motorsport that it is possible, you know, like I can one day venture off and be racing overseas and be part of that ecosystem. So I think it would mean a great deal.
Yes. And currently, you know, SAES has a couple of people overseas,
Yes.
if not under the SAES umbrella. You know, you have the Van der Lindes who are in endurance racing overseas. So you've seen massive success, but do you think Formula One could kind of rub off on endurance racing in a way?
Endurance racers are very proud of being endurance racers. You know, it's something that they really hold close to their hearts. And that's one thing that I've also realized now, that I would rather promote kids eventually going into endurance racing, racing in GT Opens and stuff like that, because it is a longer career and an easier career to get to quickly. I mean, F1 has what, 22 seats?
Yeah.
It's impossible, you know. Anyway, you know, I'm a huge promoter of endurance racing. I think that it could be a future for a lot of people in motorsport.
And then lastly, looking forward, you know, there's been this push for inclusion, and you very much stood at the forefront of it, I think. What does the future of South African endurance racing look like to you?
It looks amazing to me. I think there's so many things that we're implementing right now. We're having a rookie, what we're calling it a Tyro Cup, where it's a league where we want kids from 14 to 18 riding in cars, racing with main endurance races. We're starting programs where we want them to learn behind the wheels, how to fix a car. There's so many things that we have in the works. So that's the future of SAS. I'd like to believe that the youth is the future of SAS.
And what are your challenges currently in making these big dreams come true for SAES?
Motorsport is a very expensive sport. So right now our challenge is getting sponsors, getting corporates to back us to make this whole thing work. I think it just needs a lot of people plugging in to hold it up. And that's what we right now are struggling with.
And you've spoken about mechanics and marshals and the people who kind of make motorsport run and make the wheels turn, if not the steering wheel, you know. Are you currently experiencing a lack of marshals, a lack of mechanics? Is there any deficits where we might need some South Africans to come in and help?
No, not actually. Right now, we're actually having an influx of female marshals that want to join, which is great. But we need more people. You know, there's so many motorsport events in the country. You know, there's always extreme, there's this, there's that. So we always need more. You know, more is better.
More is better. And if you are one member of that more, reach out to SAES. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
From the heart of the continent to its farthest horizons, Africa awakens with stories that shape our world. This is Africa Good Morning, your window into the pulse of a dynamic continent. I'm Ashwin Berry, here to deliver the latest news, sharp insights, and the vibrant spirit of Africa. Every weekday, we dive into the headlines, uncover untold stories, and spotlight the people driving change. Plus, stay ahead with daily weather forecasts and economic updates to navigate your week with confidence. With direct coverage from our correspondents on the ground, we bring you in-depth access to Africa's beating heart. Mondays, Mike Situla reports from Zambia.
Africa, good morning.
Tuesdays, Talent Gore covers Zimbabwe. Wednesdays, Rorisang Mohojwe brings Botswana's news. Dumela, Rorisang.
Thank you very much, Ashwin, for having me right here on Africa Good Morning. It is always a pleasure to be here with you all.
Thursdays, Ari Hogarth tackles South Africa.
Yes, a very good morning, Ashwin and Anna. Yes, a good atmosphere.
And Fridays, we focus on Namibia's bold narratives. From thriving cities to rugged plains, our team is there, capturing the rhythm of a continent on the rise. Africa Good Morning is your essential start. News, weather, economics, and more.
With me is Ryan Fleming. He is not only the technical team lead, he's the guy in charge of what I think is the most interesting part of a single-seater open-wheel car, the powertrain. Ryan, how are you feeling? Being the powertrain guy and all.
Good. A bit stressed, but always good.
So tell me a little bit about Formula Student. What initially attracted you to apply for this? Because I believe you guys were interviewed and everything.
Yeah. So my story starts, I love planes, which is what inherently brought me to engineering. And then after spending some time here at the university, I realized more of a car guy. So I started doing a bit of...
Yes, we've converted one, yes.
So I did a bit more research on cars, and I also ride bike for a living. So those two just culminated into whatever I'm doing now.
And is powertrain the thing you would have wanted to do ideally walking into this, or was it kind of
Yeah.
thrust upon you?
No. It was fully my decision. Luckily, it worked out that way. So because I was the team lead, I get to choose last. And then powertrain was left. So I was like,
Yes,
that's exactly
okay.
what I wanted.
So your powertrain starts with, I believe, a motorbike engine at this point.
Yes.
Tell us about that conversion.
Yeah, cool. So it's running a 600cc inline four that makes about 72 kilowatts and 63 newton meters of torque at about 12,000 RPM, which is quite high. Cars are between 5 and 6. They redline it. So what we are planning to do is using an open differential in the back and literally bolting the sprocket to the open differential. So how open differentials work is they kind of get a pinion gear and a ring gear, and as this one turns, the other one turns.
Yes.
So we eliminated that. We just said bolt the sprocket onto the diff, put a little new housing on it, and run it as an open differential.
And you guys, Dr. Van Vieren was just telling us you've been very innovative in setting up a jig
Yeah.
according to which to weld your cars. Where does that idea come from?
So we've obviously got a lot of inspiration from European teams, and we've seen they love using a jig. And with our limitations, as I told you earlier, the chassis guys building us rake in the chassis, which is pretty cool, and the aerodynamics backing behind whatever they did, we decided this can't go on a flat table. We have to build a jig. We know jigs are usually for when you build masses and masses of cars, but we said, that's not how we do it down here.
Not in Formula Student.
No.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about the Formula Student program. What do you think you have learned from this program so far?
The soft skills, really the soft skills. Most of us have been trained for 4 years on how to do the hard skills, the math, the physics, the mechanics, that's fine. But as soon as you kind of get nominated team lead or project manager or whatever you want to call it, there's a certain amount of soft skills that just doesn't exist. So yeah, very steep learning curve on how to be a team lead, but we got there in the end. Hopefully, according to the team, I'm pretty good at what I do.
So tell me a little bit about your role as team lead. What does that entail in this setting?
Yeah, so there's a massive difference between a project lead and a team lead. Dr. Dirks keeps the timeline going and keeps us all in check with deadlines and whatever. And then as a team lead, I sort of inspire the people, or try to at least. I go, yo, this is how far my project went, how far is yours? Checking up on them emotionally, making sure that they're not too stressed. Because of the nature of the Formula Student project, we actually accelerated our timeline by so instead of a 6-month design project, we've done it in 3 months, which obviously puts a lot of stress on students still running a full 4th year.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you've mentioned now taking inspiration from the European Formula Student teams.
Yes.
What other racing categories are you taking inspiration from in developing this car?
So there's a cool racing series in South Africa called Formula M, which basically does exactly what we do. They take motorcycle engines and they put it inside a Formula style chassis, so open wheel race car, single seater, and they race on tracks throughout South Africa. So we took a heavy inspiration from them. The aerodynamics is a bit different because they operate at much higher speeds. If you chat to our aerodynamics guy, he'll tell you a bit more about how we've adapted our rear wing to give us a bit more downforce in the slower speed turns. But yeah, and then F1, obviously, in Europe, this is...
Now you're speaking my language.
Yeah. In Europe, Formula Student is the feeder for Formula One. So we kind of took that approach and said, listen, let's see if we can't also use Formula One. So stuff like an air brake and DRS and active aero are major inspirations for what we do here. And we hope to integrate that within the first year.
And now that you have this experience working on a single-seater open wheel car, do you look at other series, do you look at Formula One and you go, I don't know who's doing their aero,
Yeah.
but it shouldn't be like that. Do you do that now?
Yes.
Who would you correct? Let's ask that.
No, online.
It's a possible employment opportunity. Tell them what they're doing wrong so they can hire you to do it right.
So if we're looking specifically at rear wings, it'll probably be Ferrari. That flip the rear wing, great idea. It's just a bit too slow. So there's massive amounts of drag that come as you flip it.
So the flip should be quicker.
A lot quicker.
How much quicker?
We're talking about milliseconds here.
Okay, yes, but milliseconds are milliseconds. Milliseconds are what could have you losing a race in Formula One.
Milliseconds are also what you get paid for in Formula One.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so Ferrari, you've heard it here. You need a guy to come work on your rear wing. You've got it. Thank you so much for joining us, Ryan Fleming.
Thank you, guys.
It was Ryan Fleming, technical team lead and the powertrain guy for University of Pretoria's Formula Student team. All the way from Santon City to Hungaroring in Budapest now. Let's have a look at what we can expect for this weekend's Hungarian Grand Prix. So for the Hungarian Grand Prix, some important statistics, facts and figures for you to know. The first Grand Prix, Formula One Grand Prix, was held here in 1986. Circuit length is 4.381 kilometers, rounding to 70 laps to be done for the race distance to come to 306.630 kilometers. Lap record is held by Max Verstappen from his golden year in Formula One. That is, of course, 2019. Now over to look at some of the constructors' wins. So as I've mentioned, Max Verstappen holding the lap record there. 40 Grands Prix have been held here, and then 18% of them have been held with a safety car since 1993. This is relatively low compared to other Grands Prix, so teams will not be betting on a safety car coming out and saving them. We'll talk a little bit about tyre strategy later. Most wins by a driver, obviously Lewis Hamilton, 7-time world champion, has won here 8 times. Michael Schumacher, the other 7-time Formula One world champion, has won here 4 times, and Ayrton Senna with 3 wins at Hungaroring on the board. Now over to look at our expectations. So the most wins by a constructor, like I said, McLaren with 13 leading the pack there. Williams in second with 7 wins, equaled with Ferrari with 7 wins. The best grid position to win from is first with 16 wins, and if you can't get first, you'll be downtrodden a little bit, but your second best will be third position. So clearly this track favors one side of the track to start on, and then your third best position to start from is second position with 8 wins. Your pit stop loss is about 20.6 seconds under normal conditions. It can go up to 21 seconds even, obviously a little bit shorter under a safety car, but like I say, odds of a safety car are quite low at this track. This track is also an undercut track, like most tracks on the Formula One calendar, but for different reasons. So this is a very long, twisty track, which is very taxing on your aerodynamics, and with a lack of long straights, you only really have that one long back straight where the speed trap is. With a lack of long straights means that there's a lack of cooling on the cars. So that is going to be a challenge for our teams and our constructors for this weekend. That brings us to the end of this week's episode of Lights Out. Thank you so much for joining us. Remember that you can catch Lights Out every Friday at 7:30 on network television, DSTV 285 and GoTV 25 in Namibia, as well as oneup2.com. But until next week, from me, Irene Marie van der Walt, and the Lights Out team, drive it like you stole it.